10-kilometre classic individual start about to get underway. Kaidi Kasiku leads, or is going to lead out from Estonia. She's 22-year-old. Her twin sister starts a couple of minutes behind her with bib number 5. 33rd in Östersund last weekend in freestyle. She'll be hoping for, and I think expecting, a little better in the classic style.
Yeah, she's got the honour possibly of the early start today, so she'll be looking to set a solid time for everyone else around her. Again, if she comes on that second loop, she'll have a little bit of traffic, so hopefully that'll be good. You can find someone to work with. But yeah, good positive start there off the blocks. Yeah, very firm start. And I think in the men's race earlier in the morning, the night frost had kept the tracks a little firmer for the early starters, and not an advantage going early in the men's race. Possibly the same here as Subri, 26-year-old. Yeah, I think we just keep an eye on the weather as well at the moment. It's pretty warm, about 3 degrees, and we've talked a lot about the snow conditions this weekend. It was due to be a little snow/rain, but hopefully that's going to hold off until after the athletes finish the race today. So that'll be really tricky for the waxing.
Well, it does look a very grey sky up there. Sobri, 11th position, the German athlete with bib 2, 11th position in this race at the Olympics. Bruce Veen, the 20-year-old from Oslo, second in the junior world championships, this distance but freestyle, and 40th yesterday. Big day for her yesterday, brought into the field for that 20-kilometre skiathlon.
Yeah, great. Again, another one of the youngest athletes in the field, just 20 years old. So it's quite a daunting experience, but great to get the opportunity to start today.
Mother German, Colette Rijsdijk, her brother, famous Nordic combined athlete, won many competitions and Olympic medals from the southern part of Germany, Oberstdorf. And Rijsdijk here, she was 4th in Tallinn, that was in sprint racing, makes the top 6 on a number of occasions. A tough journey today. 7, Julie Bjervig Drivens, 24-year-old, replacing Calva, who's unwell. Kaidi, we saw twin sister Kiri starting today with bib number 1. Interesting to follow them round. Often they're so similar on the tracks, but I think it is yes, Kaidi who's more the sprinter than the distance athlete.
Yeah, it's interesting watching siblings in sport, isn't it? Just seeing how their performances track each other.
Extreme focus from Sophia Henriksen, the 29-year-old. I beg your pardon, the 21-year-old. She was second a couple of years ago at the Junior World Championships, over 5 kilometres.
Yeah, it's a tough team to get into these days, isn't it? We talk a lot about the challenge of getting in the Norwegian team for the men, but certainly not easy to get a start in that Swedish women's team these days either. So
at short notice, the nerves must be, getting brought onto the start line just late last night to replace Calva.
Yeah, it's a good opportunity for her. I think it's a shame we're not seeing Calva. I think obviously had such a great season last year, but just hasn't found her form this year. And I think she was reported last night saying, I just don't quite know what's not going right, but she didn't finish in the skiathlon yesterday. And again, like Carlson, just making the decision to cut and go back to training.
I think so. If it's not working, and especially after an exceptional season last year, and you're not feeling that you have the punch or the push, rest is a good thing, especially prior to the Tour de Ski, which starts on the 30th of December in Toblach in Italy. What a joy to race in these warm temperatures compared to the last 4 weeks. When you look back at the last 4 weeks of racing, minus 18 in Ruka, minus 18, 19 in Gällivare. It was okay in Östersund at minus 12 on day 1. As number 9, Helena Sunesson, 42nd yesterday, and 32nd over the 10 kilometers freestyle last weekend in Sweden. She didn't look happy yesterday, especially obviously expecting more coming to the finish line. She looked very, very disappointed as she crossed the finish line. 54 just getting some sustenance there before the race. Heidi Weng.
Yeah, so with these early starters, I think we've just missed Moa Ren heading off. She was bib number 10. So a couple of finals in the sprints. I think last weekend she was 6th in Östersund and 17th yesterday as well. So on the up for sure. And I think she might be one of the early paces we want to look at.
Actually, really icy and powdery, and so maybe remind the girls to watch out for the blowout on the corners. But I think the skis are good.
So that's just, I don't know if you heard that, that's Jessie Diggins
Good feedback, thanks.
with comms out on the track testing her skis, and that was a positive that the wax was doing okay. So that's good news for the American team. Interesting just to get that little bit of feedback. That was probably from earlier whilst out testing skis. So Anja Weber, only 13, so still 13 World Cup starts, so still growing in terms of experience. 35th position yesterday, and actually over 10 kilometers in Sweden last weekend. So mid-pack, what have we got? 61 starters today, 14 nations.
Yeah, nice to get this sort of overhead shot so you can just start to get a feel for the track. And as you said, it's not, you don't get a long run out of that stadium before it starts to go up. So a little bit more gradually out of the start and then ramping up steeper and steeper to the high point.
From Villard-de-Lans, the 24-year-old Ducoudeur. I think she'll be hoping for a top 20. 21st yesterday, and she was certainly looking stronger in classic than she did in the final 10 kilometers freestyle yesterday. Now there's Katarina Gans from Moena, Engadine Valley area. Lisa Lohman, second over 20 kilometers classic mass start at the under 23 World Championships. That was last year. So possibly Posey a pathfinder, a time finder for her as a challenger.
I think along with Lyndon I mentioned, I think some of the early pace setters as well, and I think it's good to see that she's been skiing regularly this first part of the World Cup season. Quite a young athlete, and the Germans are really bringing through quite a young crew.
Yes, they are, and it does need to rebuild. The men's team struggling a little yesterday. They did have a 12th position yesterday, and then it was 49th and 51st. The German women's team much more impetus and momentum. You just get a feeling there's desire to get back on the podium. So Sobre really with intent, setting the early pace up to the 2.1 or 2 kilometer marker.
Yeah, and it's interesting just on the German team as well that we have, because Karl's been so good, we haven't even talked that much about the fact that Hennig's not been particularly racing. She's been ill for the last couple of weeks as well, so another one sitting it out, and she's really been the big star of the German team, but Karl doing a great job in her absence.
Oh, incredible. And yes, I saw she was so disappointed, Hennig, on social media when she was informed that she needed time out with it's quite a severe cold. I'm not sure if it was COVID. So Ridzek, more a sprinter, but looking good up at the top of this big endurance climb.
Yeah, and already taken 30 seconds out of Brusvein Jensen there, so that's either very good for Ridzek or a little bit of a tough start for the young Norwegian.
This is really intense racing from Ridzek, and I think the Norwegian will be really surprised to be passed so early. Yasmi Joensuu, 27-year-old.
Yeah. Interesting to see what she could do. She's really come on in sprints this year, won a couple of the qualifiers, hasn't quite translated that into podiums in the actual, when it gets to the heats, but shows she's got really good top speed. So question for me today is, can the sprinters sort of find that pacing right, leave enough for the second lap?
Yeah, that's the all-important, and it seems to be the all-important question on this particular track profile. Henriksson, I apologise, I called Henriksson as last year she came second in the Junior World, so it was actually 10 years ago. So my apologies for that.
She'll probably be enjoy being called 10 years younger.
Well, she looks it, doesn't she? Looks like she's 20.
Yeah.
So setting the early pace, Henriksson. Not involved on a regular basis in terms of representing Sweden, but jumping at every opportunity.
I think maybe a few spots opening up with Carlson choosing not to start. Sundling still not back in form as well. So a couple of people missing from that Sweden team gives the opportunity. But again, you've got to perform when you get them because there's so much competition for that Swedish team.
There certainly is. I mentioned earlier, so the Swedish team 2nd, 4th, 5th, 6th and 8th in terms of the overall World Cup standing. So 21, Hedda Östberg Amundsen. Her brother, disappointing for him, coming 7th earlier today, her twin brother. So Hedda Östberg Amundsen underway. Hedda Östberg Amundsen just starting her race, 19th yesterday. She's been brought into the World Cup for a 2nd time now. Ritzek, well, just in 2nd place, but only by 1/10 of a second. So still very tight in the early stages. Big 8 coming through now.
There's quick tempo by Tomarella there as she goes around the corner, so just having to go really high tempo to keep right over the skis, not let that slip, and then we can get into that downhill as well. So first look at Anderson, see how confident she's feeling ahead of her start.
I mean, yes, fatigue from yesterday to do the brave race that she did, to lead and take that initiative to try and break free, which she did. Will the legs be tired? Yes, they will. But then she'll be reasoning, so is everybody else. Pia Fink, I thought she looked great yesterday to finish in the top 20. She was 18th position. And again, there is some real momentum with this young German team.
As I said, Lundgren there, as I said, I think I would expect her to set the early pace, but not quite keeping up with her teammate. Henriksen's got just 2 seconds over Lundgren there, so those Swedes again just at the top of the result sheet at the moment, but very early and a lot of people to come through still.
24 breaking free, Marta Skånes. Top 25 yesterday for her, and it's so important when you get the call up for the Norwegian team to show your colours, to show that you can get in there in the top 25, top 20. Sophie Creel, 11 seconds. Well, that's quite substantial at this early stage of the race behind Henriksen. So she's slipping there. Talk us through the skis today, Posey. So it's classic style, very wet snow. Difficult conditions, I would imagine, for the technicians.
Not easy, and I think this is also a real test of this new protocol with the skis as well. So the skis have to be in the start. The skis have to be in the start by 30 minutes before the race starts. So that means that you've got to choose which skis you want to use, and you want to choose which wax you're having on the skis by that time as well. So when conditions are changing very soon to the start, it does make it even trickier.
It certainly does. A lot of stress for the backup teams, especially the all-important wax technicians. Evelina Pipo, 24th yesterday, so another good find for Finland.
So it does seem we've seen a couple of slips, but people do seem to be able to be staying in the tracks just now. So most teams seem to have just about got the kick wax right. So of course you want it, as to say, it's really challenging in these conditions to get the right kick, but importantly to do that without sacrificing the glide on this downhill section that comes up after the high point here.
And many of the athletes, as Lohmann comes up this rise, many of the athletes are opting for wider baskets, so to get more purchase in the wet snow. But I did hear, we didn't notice it because we didn't see much of Erik Valnes, but it seems like in his race he lost the metal tips, so therefore not getting the purchase. And I did wonder why he started strong, he started firm, but we saw his times dropping more significantly than many of his rivals.
Yeah, nothing more frustrating than an equipment failure, so that's really tough for him, and he was right up there in the results as well, so you can reasonably expect to have lost a bit of time from that.
Yeah, it's strange, and it's interesting that he didn't opt for trying alert the coaches that he needed another set of poles. Fussness, well and truly placed there, just 1.9 behind in 3rd place, still very early stages.
Yeah, and I think that's solid from Fussness, and again, we did see quite a lot of change in the men's. Some people who, Donestad ended third had a brilliant second lap, so you've got to do well here, you've got to put yourself in good position, but you've got to go around it again, so it's all about the second time up this hill, I think, is the crucial point.
Painful point as well.
Painful point, yeah.
When you're asking a second time. I love the intensity. Every athlete knowing full well you need momentum over this rise. Here's Margareta Bergan. She hasn't looked at her best, but she is leading the under-23 challenge, so still trying to find her best form. We saw that in Oslo in March last year. She led so much of that 50-kilometre race, which we covered. I was so impressed back then, so she hasn't quite got the form she displayed then.
No, and what a shame for her yesterday as well. She had that nightmare in the changeover zone, so just couldn't get the second ski on. Lost almost a minute in the changeover, and I think just ruined the race for her.
I forgot entirely about that. Novi McCabe there looking so aggressive. 23rd position yesterday. Personal best of 7th in World Cup racing.
Yeah, so looking pretty close at this 2K marcus as we've got, I think this is bib 18 coming through Joensuu, so we've got just 3 seconds separating first from 6th place, so obviously a lot of people to come, and we will expect to see those times come down, but yeah, pretty close from the first runners.
Very tight indeed. Henriksen, Ridzek, Forsnes, the top 3 there. Astrid Øyreslind, only 39 World Cup starts, but over a long period of time, over 14 years, of course, she went for somewhat 9-10 seasons distance racing.
Yeah, I mean, it just seems she's been around for such a long time, and she's such a star performer. It seems crazy that she's had so few starts, but as you say, she never quite made the national team when she was younger, so chose to focus on the distance racing, and that seems to have paid off well in the last couple of years.
Yes, and she was 3rd at the skiathlon at the World Championships, Slind, so the first of the seated athletes, Slind, is on track, and Carlson, well, sadly she was supposed to start but being replaced by Johanna Hagström. Another good card being played there from Sweden. Here she is. So again, another athlete coming in for an athlete with ill health, and she looks well and truly up for this opportunity. Take every opportunity and make the most of it.
Absolutely, and it is tricky for her. She's more of a sprinter, so she gets a lot of sprint starts, but then that means she's not getting the opportunities for the distance racing. So you need a bit of practice in both to work out the pacing. So great for her to get this just before Christmas as well.
I like that, to work out. Yes, it's all about feeling, isn't it? On a regular pattern, you can find your way. Amundsen. Well, her twin brother was competitive as well up to this stage. At the moment, Amundsen's in 7th place. Only 6 seconds, that's okay. Adrift.
Yeah, I think that's not too bad. And then we've got Svensson coming through, so again, a little bit, not on the level of Slind, but similarly one of these athletes who's been around for quite a long time and on the edge of the national team maybe. Had a lot of starts, but never quite a regular.
Svensson. And interestingly, earlier in the men's race, coming off the glide there and into this first rise, 90% of the men were double pulling up onto this then flat bit and then breaking into diagonal on this section.
Yeah, and the men often also choosing to jump outside of the track. You can see on the left, actually, you can just see in the snow the imprint of where they were going, so choosing to go out of the track, which they felt was the faster line.
Pia Fink sets the new time. Well, a lot of talk of the German team getting the skis sometimes more right. That's only freestyle than the rest, and it looks for me today, great blend of kick and glide from the German technicians here in the cross-country team.
Yeah, solid early starts for the Germans for sure, with Pia Fink in first and Ridzek in 3rd currently.
That's good news, I think, for, of course, the best of the Germans, Victoria Karl. Skånes at 13.4, that won't be great news. Rosie Brennan, 3rd in the World Cup ranking, 2nd in this race, the time trial in Classic up in Ruka on day 2 of the new season. And it doesn't look like Rosie, she hasn't lost much form from that brilliant start she had.
No, I think this is going to be another good day for her. She didn't have the best day yesterday, but her classic skiing looked absolutely brilliant. And again, it's not all about the skis. You obviously have to be a good skier, but she said that she nailed the classic skis, but not the skate, which is the opposite of digging. So she said it was warm weather. She hadn't had the chance to test those skate skis in the warm weather and just didn't pick the right pair. So.
What a shame, what a shame. Yes, she lost her way. Gertrude Niskanen, when it comes to classic, this is her favourite technique. So Gerto Niskanen about to get underway. Her 5 individual World Cup victories she's had in this style. Not so good in terms of freestyle, or not as effective. So can she find it? She hasn't looked her sharpest as yet, and her brother didn't look great earlier today, one of the favourites, but lost his way during the race.
No, yeah, her brother, I think 14th was it, which again for him in a 10k classics, bread and butter, his absolute favourite discipline, so we'd at minimum expect to see him top 10 really, so a bit disappointing, but bit of family pride maybe to restore.
Talking of family, and of course your brother updated us this morning. He was hoping for more, but sensational yesterday with his 2nd place, Andrew Musgrave.
Yeah, I think 19th today. Obviously, he's been better than that in most of the distance races this season, so a bit disappointing, but overall I think just he's so happy with yesterday's result. He's going to come away feeling so satisfied with this weekend.
Chest will be out further, the head will be up a little higher, walking a little taller. Stuart Jones from Canmore. This is a very, very powerful start, an attacking start. The expressions show it all. Gasping for air up here at the highest point of the track. 6.6, nice start from the Canadian.
Yeah, so we're just about to get into the seed. So we got Slind coming through. Slind bid 32, and I think again that's when we'll get the sense of some of these early starts having a good day. Is that time from Pia Fink going to hold up, or are we going to start seeing some increases there?
Now has Bergan found her magic? It's looking better. Posey is looking better. Just 3 seconds off. I just love the grittiness, the toughness.
Yeah, again, really fast tempo. You can see a lot of them just really picking the tempo up around that. Got to keep it really high and aggressive so you're not losing the speed into the downhill.
Here she is, Eva Anderson. She made it look easy yesterday for yet another victory, and she will set out with intent today. Ridsek, 2nd time around. Yes, she's a very early number. Lost a bit of the spark, of course, as expected. Now the 2nd time up here, but still keeping a very firm pace and a very smooth technique. Astrid Ulrich-Lind, well, one of the few to double pole as the men did, and look, she's taken the line. She watched that earlier.
She's such a strong double poler, and this is what comes from that background of the distance skiing that she's been doing. A lot of those races are very double pole heavy. She does 4 or 5 hour double poling sessions on roller skis through the summer, and we haven't seen any other women do that, but she's much more similar to the men in terms of her approach.
That's interesting, and it's paying off. 9.1 seconds, was that correct? As much as that, 9.7 actually ahead at 2 kilometres.
Yeah, that was really, really powerful. So interesting to see the different approach there, but never a question of, was it the right thing to do? She just looked so strong.
Yep, absolutely, and it's brutal to double pole up there. Here comes Lotte Udnesvang, 6th in the sprint on day 1 here, 15th yesterday. But I think much improved, Posey, much improved in terms of distance racing, more renowned as a sprinter.
Yeah, her best results last year were in sprint, so trying to come through on the distance side as well.
I need more grip.
Yes, well, it's not all like the kick cracks, is it?
Got to get up those hills. 34 just moving to her right. This is Johanna Hagström.
So actually this is about one of the other few athletes who we've seen double poling over that, so it's pretty good ski. It's good, interesting from Hagström. Strong enough just to do what Slim did as well, stay in double pole up that first bump and then into the striding over the last bit.
And yes, and Hagström more a sprinter, so using that double pole power from her sprinting, as Theresa Stadlober, Olympic bronze medalist in skiathlon, just getting underway.
I think one to keep an eye on. She hasn't had the results that we've maybe seen in past years until yesterday when she had a brilliant day.
I was going to say 4th is okay. But yes, so really very much coming back into it. Victoria Carl.
So now these gaps are really starting to open up. So it was very close, I was saying about how close it was. Slind came through 9 seconds in front, and that's another 9 seconds that Carl's taken off over Slind. So
and that is so good from Victoria Carl, really, really making a statement. Is it too much too soon? I hope she hasn't overpaced it first time up, but she knows what she's doing this season in terms of distance racing. Emma Rebohm, Posey, 2nd in the world. and really is able to combine the perfect sprinting, the winning race in sprinting twice this season, and third in the third sprint, and equally challenging and pushing for podiums. Look at the power there out of the stadium. Is she going to double pull this section?
I think she might be, yeah. I think she certainly might be. I think it shows the difference in class between some of those seeded women and some of the others. The seeds and the stronger ones able to double pull up. Brennan not doing that, but still, as long as she's doing what's right for her and getting through in the fastest way.
I thought she might have felt a little worried there. I saw some slipping and that. Oh, there again and again. That's a shame if she's not got the perfect grip. She really needs it up to the high point.
She does, but again, she may have chosen to prioritise the glide on the downhill. So interesting to see those splits at the bottom as well. But looking a little bit scrappy, but I think that is just the way that Brennan is. She's a gritty skier. It's not the prettiest, but it's effective.
It is very effective. She's a fighter. Here's Moa Ilar, first in the 20-kilometre freestyle. That was up in Ruka 4 weekends ago. Fourth in the 10-kilometre classic, again at the start of the season. I think she's lost form or dropped back a little. The impetus to make it through the selection races into the national team, to make the World Cup. So a lot of athletes on form, a little sharper at the first World Cup.
Yeah, it's so hard to keep that momentum going week on week, and when you are particularly like she has been entering the sprints as well as the distances, it's a lot of races in this first stretch.
It's quite a brutal programme. Kerttu Niskanen, all her victories in classic style, but a deficit of 17.8. That is worrying for the best of the Finns here. Of course, Parma Koski normally up and challenging, but she's not at the races.
Yeah, I think we've got a couple of minutes until Anderson comes through, and then I think we're going to get a real sense of where this race is heading.
And look at Heidi Weng, very much up for this, as she was yesterday, third position yesterday in the skiathlon. So for the second time of asking, Fusnes now around. This is past what is the 2 kilometre camera slot. Of course they come round it twice, but 6.8 kilometres and looking very powerful.
Yeah, so this is still a little bit of the uphill left here where that mark is through, so just a bit of the hill to go. So what's interesting to look at is if they're still maintaining a good pace, if they look like they're positive for the last bit of the hill. So crucial here to keep the speed going. I think it's just a really important point of the course.
Gantz absolutely gasping for air, the Italian. Jessie Diggins breaking free. This is going to be exciting. I really hope that the grip on the skis, it did appear that Rosie Brennan was slipping a little, and I really hope that Jessie Diggins has the grip that she had yesterday. She looked fabulous yesterday in the classic technique, and then of course lost a little, but came back into the race in freestyle. Well, this is something of a surprise. Not worrying though, won't over concern her, but 6.8 is a margin. Victoria Carl has blasted out of the gate.
Yeah, this is a huge 6.8 seconds in front by Carl. That's a real statement that she's made. I think I'm a little bit nervous for her, I'm not going to lie. I don't know if she's got off hard, but she's been having a good season. Maybe this is the day for her, but yeah, we're going to have to keep an eye on that and see how see how that transpire through the rest of the race.
I love that statement. I'm not going to lie. I'm concerned. I'm not going to lie. Yes, she did go out like a rocket over the first 2 kilometres. I really hope she can survive. Claudel improving all the time, and very much on the Tour de Ski comes strong. Tour de Ski, by the way, starting on the Saturday, the 30th of December. 3 days of racing, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, then a day off. Those first 3 days are in Tobla in Italy. Then Davos for a couple of days of racing, and then over to the famous Val de Fiemme for the mass start classic, and then the final climb of 10 kilometers freestyle. So any later starters, Posey, that we need to look further down the track, the early starters. It was Henriksen leading the way earlier.
Yeah, so we're seeing Lotte Idle-Sveng coming through here. I think behind her, Stadlober still coming, Heidi Weng, of course, as well, Moa Ilar. So these are the ones to keep an eye on. But Lotte Idle-Sveng struggled 30 seconds. That is a long way behind.
That's a huge margin. So the last of the seeded athletes, and only one athlete to go behind her. Lynn Svan has got it all out before her. The split times on the rest of the world ahead of her. More a sprinter.
Yeah, and again, you know, can she, like we saw in the men's, will we be seeing, as we've got here, we've got McCabe coming through, and then 47, Jonsson behind as well. So again, we might see a couple of athletes pairing up, can really help here. But just looking at Stadlober, this time from Carl is absolutely phenomenal.
The time from Victoria Carl, is incredible. To break the rest of the field by 7.6, it's 6.8 seconds, is quite exceptional. Stadlober a little slipping there from her in terms of her technique, not getting full compression through the grip clister. So Pia Fink coming through, bib 23, the German athlete, going very well today, as is her teammate in the early stages, Victoria Carl.
Yeah, here's Emma Ribom coming in again. We talked about Slind. Oh no, she stayed in double poling a little bit longer, but has moved into the striding on that lower section of that final hill as well. But still good, strong tempo.
It's quite incredible, Posey, at 50th starter and 16 second separation from first to fifth at this early stage. It's huge. Ritzek setting the new best time. She really attacked fast straight into the champion's chair, make the most of it. And with respect, it won't last the day. In fact, it might not last the next couple of minutes. Henriksson coming down. I think Henriksson had some 10 or 15 seconds advantage at the last point of checking. But Ritzek will make the most of that chair for the best part of a minute. It's Henriksson coming in for the new best time. 29.43 from Ritzek will be beaten. So still very early in the race, but Henriksson has 15.2 advantage. And that may remain that way for some minutes, maybe even as much as 8 minutes. Ilar, 20 seconds off the pace. Well, this is unfolding, Posey, to be a very interesting race. The early pace from some is exceptional, and a huge separation in terms of timings.
Yeah, absolutely huge gaps opening up at the top. We're just seeing Ridzek and Henriksson having a bit of a chat about the course there, pointing up to the hill, I think, saying, God, let's go around that 2 times. But yeah, certainly some interesting race unfolding here. We've still got a lot of people to go through. We haven't had too many of the seeded athletes through the halfway marker yet. But at 4.3k, Victoria Carl's kept that gap over Slind and extended it over Brennan and Anderson.
Kiloinen, there she is at 6.8. Vastly experienced, maybe slightly better in the classic style. This is her 15th season of World Cup racing.
She's one of the real veterans, just like this woman here, Heidi Weng, another veteran of the circuit, been around a long time, and she knows what she's doing. She's come through in 7th there. She's 18 seconds back. It's pretty tight between Ribom, Niskanen, Beng, Pia Fink. They're all in that sort of 16 to 18 seconds.
It's incredible. I'm just wondering if Victoria Carl has really set a pace that is difficult for her to maintain, and so the athletes are looking panicked when they're being given the split times. They're thinking, I must be off form, but I think it's just Victoria Carl completely spiking this performance today. But she seems to be holding at 5.5. She's still leading by 10 seconds ahead of Schlind.
Yeah, so at that 5.5 marker, it's a good time. That's Bergan coming up, 5 seconds in front of Fink, so she's a relatively early starter, Bergan again. And then this is the question, I think, isn't it?
Diggins, yes. I think this is okay. You know, by the end of the day, this is just the first time up. 2 seconds behind her teammate Rosie Brennan.
It's always interesting to hear what athletes are getting splits off. Is it off the lead? Is it off their teammates? It's quite interesting to hear that they were giving splits off Rosie rather than the winner.
I was surprised at that as well. Why not the lead time? But anyway, that's inter-team information.
I think that was a great angle to see the challenge of that last hill there. I think sometimes we've talked about how hard the first hill is and you forget that actually the last ones are going to sting in the tail as well.
I like that. It really is a sting in the tail. Astrid Øyreslund, 7.8. She's used her arm power, her super arm power to its maximum today. There she goes. Double pulling away up the track, out of the track in the faster snow alongside the prepared cut tracks.
Okay, so interestingly at the halfway marker, Slind had about 23 seconds on Bergan, and that's now cut to 7.8 at that 6.0. So is Bergan pacing brilliantly? Has Slind gone too hard? It's just an awful lot of change. It's so hard to get this right.
It certainly is. Weber 25.3 off the pace. Lidsek still in second. Lundgren, I thought would have challenged those three names, but not the case today. Now then, Victoria Karl's arms and legs looking strong. I thought they might look leaden and heavy, but she still appears to have a good flow. It is ganz gut. Just not quite relaxing on the glide there as much as she was earlier. There is Bergan. You mentioned that she seems to be attacking and pulling some time back in the latter stages.
Yeah, she's looking very positive in that second loop. This is Svan coming through last of the seeds, as you said. So she's in fifth. So with everyone through now, we can see that Karl's still got that almost 7-second lead over Anderson at 2K. So absolutely flying start from her. And as she comes up to this next marker, 6.8, a lot of seeds to come through, but God, the time she's taking out of Slind is phenomenal. 26 seconds.
That is incredible. So Victoria Karl robbed the podium for the first time last weekend over the same distance in freestyle. She seems to have hit this 10 kilometers on a real mission today. Best time here. It's not really giving much info. You want time further back where the main contenders are playing. Henriksen is safe. Fosnes, she started strong, seems to have lost her way a little on the track, but third place for now.
Third place for
Fosnes certainly secured herself, I think, Posey as a regular in the Norwegian team.
I think she's been getting some consistent starts this year. I think she needs to want to be tipping over a bit into sort of top 10s would be great to see, but I think, but you know, a consistent run from her there.
And yes, sorry.
Good by Katarina Gantz, just 12 seconds back from Henriksen. So.
I loved what we saw from Gantz. She was just, I've never seen her so attacking, with such a good mindset. Rosie Brennan, this is excellent. She's getting the split, so Victoria Karl, come on Rosie Brennan. This hasn't been easy for Brennan. There's a little slipping as we saw in her technique. And if Jessie Diggins can keep this momentum, she was given the split times of Rosie Brennan. That's good news for the Americans.
Yeah, that's good from Brennan. She doesn't, as I said earlier, she doesn't always look the smoothest of skiers. Feels very like she's really gritty with the arms there to get up, but it's going well, and as she gets into the double pole, she's so strong.
Well, it's unfolding. Karl, we maybe thought had attacked the first climb. It's so intense that she may suffer, but she's still at the top there. You can see it. That was early on at 2 kilometers. Anderson second, Schlind third, and Brennan fourth. McCabe, another of the Americans, 23 detached at that point. So we need to try and find how Anderson is getting on. She was second place at 2 kilometers. Has she dropped down, Posey? Fourth place at 5.5. I'm really surprised. So Rosie Brennan ahead of Anderson, and Astrid Øyreslund in second place at 5.5 kilometers.
Yeah, there's always a question mark when the Swedes don't have a good day. You think, is it the skis? Is it the conditions are slowing down for the later starters? But you've got Henriksen, who's had a pretty good day from an early number, so that suggests the skis are okay in the Swedish team. And then you've got some later athletes coming through pretty well. Lynn Svan's had a solid start up to that 2K marker as well. Diggins going okay, so you know, I'm not sure either of those are quite holding true. I just don't know if Anderson's not quite on it today.
No.
Is she saving it for the second lap?
Possibly. We'll have to wait and see, but it looks to me, look at the timings. There's Brennan moving ahead of Slind now into second place at 7.5, and it looks to me like Astrid Eure-Slind is really tied up in this race from a very powerful start.
Yeah, she went hard on the first lap, and it was impressive to see the double pole that she had. Talked about how far up the hill she went, and I think that's right for her, but possibly just not good enough in her at the moment to keep that tempo up the whole way.
This is interesting. Pia Fink could challenge Slind here. Amundsen 21 behind. Well, Henriksen, is she organising herself to vacate that seat? I think she is. And I think she needs to. Pia Fink going to set the new best time. And by quite a margin. 18.7. And there's a real momentum. We've seen each of the German athletes coming up this hill. Great grip, great attacking mindset.
Yeah, I think they've done well with the skis, certainly. They seem to have got that grip and glide combination absolutely right today. Anderson.
Oh, this is a little worrying. Is she containing it?
She's making time back again. Never rule her out, as I say, at 5.5 kilometres. So after one lap, she was 16 seconds back from Carl. She pulled it back to 6. So is she the one that's pacing it perfectly?
Maybe, or is there a factor there, the long glides back to the stadium? Is it this, maybe there's a little glide factor going on there, so she's making time back on the uphill? I'm not sure. Advantage 10.8 for Slind with 1.2 kilometres remaining.
Yeah, she's looking a little bit slippery to me on these uphill sections. Just have a look, the ski feels like it's... But yeah, she's had to get out and run there. We haven't seen too many people do that. She's struggling with the glide.
Yes, so
the grip, excuse me.
Absolutely no grip there to opt so far down the hill to just spread the skis to get the edges. Current leader, delighted, is Pia Fink. And actually her time, when you look further back down the track, Posey, it's good. I'm looking at half distance, and she's only 28 seconds off Victoria Karl's time, who's 10 seconds ahead of the rest.
Yeah, she's in front of some good names as well. Moa Ilar, Heidi Beng, Stadlober, all behind that time that Pia Fink set at halfway.
So Victoria Karl, this isn't her, but it's she's coming soon around the bend, as we see in the far distance there. There she is. So Victoria Karl really blasted around the first time this testing track here in Trondheim, and really keeping the pace down all the way along the track. We thought maybe she was pushing a little on the hard side first time round, but she appears to know exactly how to pace this track. 38 ahead of Slind now.
That's a phenomenal ski. Just look at the aggression that she's still got and the way she's attacking these last hills on the course.
Well, look at the contrast. Karl managing to run away diagonal stride up the hill. Slind had to come completely out of the tracks and double pull and use her edges to get some grip up that climb. So Kiloinen 37, 39, 40 behind. Will be a top 10. At the moment, it won't last though.
Just that's Began coming into the stadium here. She was solid at the halfway marker. She was top 10 at halfway, 33 seconds behind Karl. We're not going to quite see her finish there because we've got another couple of big skiers to catch on these splits here. So Rosie Brennan, interesting to see how she's keeping on with this second lap. I think skis again looking better than Slind. Slind obviously really struggling with the wax there.
So Rosie Brennan second, and Ruka the first 10-kilometre classic of asking this season. At the moment she's in second place and really powerful. How's further down the track? How's the great Jessie Diggins getting on? I think we saw her early on at 5.5. She's still well and truly there in fourth place. So Jessie Diggins still very much in this chase.
Yeah.
So a powerful finish from Slind. It looks like her wax was not effective on the uphills, but the glide will be good, setting what will be the new best time. Pia Fink will need to vacate the champion's chair, and it's not going to be by a huge margin. 9 seconds advantage for now. Slind is leading the way in Trondheim. That was close, and it just indicates the uplift in performance from Pia Fink.
Yeah, that was a brilliant ski by Pia Fink. You know, she's been knocked off there by Slind, but this is going to be one of her best results of the season by far. So, you know, brilliant ski by her. She should be really pleased with that. And the Germans, to me, just look like they've nailed the grip and the glide. But of course, you still have to ski well on the day.
You still have to, regardless. You do essentially need a grip without the slip which Moa Ilar showed us there. You can't get the purchase, and there's a lot of energy when you slip backwards. I noticed Patricia Aiduka congratulating Slind. Well, here comes Victoria Carl, third on the podium last year. This could be her first ever victory in terms of World Cup racing. A huge advantage now over Slind. Slind really lost away in the latter part of this race. Victoria Carl from Germany, could this be her first ever victory in World Cup racing? It's a wonderful performance. Victoria Carl very much on form. 47.2. From the gun to the line, or the wand to the line, she attacked. We thought maybe that early pace Posey was just too brutal, too aggressive, but she seemed to survive it.
Oh, it's been a phenomenal ski, and it's just so nice to see her teammates out celebrating with her as well, congratulating her on an absolutely outstanding ski. Ooh, little trip from Heidi Weng. We're just looking back to some of the later starter now. Just a bit clumsy from Weng. That just shows how easy it is when you get tired. It's so hard to just even, you know, stay driving forward.
Well, I was about to say Anderson was 15 seconds at 8.9 kilometers. I thought she might try, well, she is trying. I thought she might have achieved some closure in terms of that deficit time, but it's actually extending to 20 seconds. So this is looking like an incredible day for Victoria Carl. Now, Jessie Diggins, fourth place. She's to find, what's that? She's to find 9 seconds. Well, if anybody can, Jessie Diggins can, but it's a big ask at this late stage. Rosie Brennan, her teammate, second in Ruka. Can she do the same again today? She certainly will be for now, but she has challengers. Rosie Brennan, second place.
Second place, that finish for Rosie.
Another great ski from Rosie. That's been such a strong start to the season, and all round she's been good in sprint, she's been good in distance, she's been good in skate, she's been good in classic. Ruka was her first ever classic podium, and it's looking pretty good at the moment to back that up with another one today. So just shows that the confidence to turn into that all-round skier that she's just been threatening to be for a while.
She absolutely has. Well, this is Victoria Carl, current leader, 28.13.6, and looking further down the track, Posey, she may well have every right to start getting a little excited.
I think it's looking pretty good, isn't it? You know, there's still some people to come through, but it's always easy from the halfway marker. You have a good sense. She had a 10-second lead over Slind there, who we know struggled on that second half of the course. Brennan, Diggins, Anderson, all over 10 seconds back, and those gaps look like they've extended rather than come back together on the second loop.
What a day. Well, we thought Niskanen at the start of the day may be a challenger. Of course she is. She's challenging now for third place, but it's not going to be another victory. Her 5 wins have come in this style, the classic style. Niskanen comfortable at the moment for third, but remember Anderson's out there, Diggins is out there chasing. So Niskanen for now coming into third place, 42.1. Looks like she's coming into much better shape though, Niskanen. We saw that a little yesterday in the skiathlon.
Yeah, she's certainly improving. I think it's not the standout season. Her and Parmakoski obviously also not here. You know, did start off with some struggles, but getting better. And Anderson, she's got a minute. Is that enough?
I don't think so. At the last point of checking, she had a deficit time of 15.3. I think that did extend further down the track. And after her exertion yesterday to take the win, she's bound to be feeling that in her legs, her arms, every muscle in her body. Lynn Svan looked very composed and strong earlier, not so much tempo now. So Ebba Anderson, the clock is running out of the positives to take a victory. In fact, it had dropped down, didn't it, to 20 seconds. I think that margin may well have opened further.
And just at that last 9.8k split, just 2 seconds in front of Rosie Brennan as well. So the gap just opens up to Carl, and Brennan is now challenging for that second spot. So what's Anderson got in this last part of the course?
Oh, she has to tuck low. She has to get maximum kick out of this curve, this bend. It's soft, it's difficult, but look at the tension in her face and her body. Chasing second place, Rosie Brennan in second at the moment with some distance to go. It's going to be tight. It's going to be so tight indeed. Rosie Brennan will be very, very nervous right now. Anderson, she's closing in on the line. I think it stays with Rosie Brennan for second. Anderson third. Well done, Rosie Brennan. Incredible, but Carl safe at the top. Well,
look at Carl's face. I think she's starting to believe that she might actually have this.
Do you know what? 11 years of World Cup racing, Victoria Carl. Yes, she's had a 5th in sprint. She's had a couple of 10th positions, and of course last weekend she had that fabulous 3rd place. What a turnaround in form.
And it's so interesting, I think, because we talked about the young Germans as well. Victoria Carl was really touted as an up-and-comer about 10 years ago, and it's taken her 10 years to get there, but she's kept plugging away, and she's finally, it's improved year on year, more consistently getting up the rankings, and she's getting there.
It's a lovely, lovely story. I love to see this. We've seen her at the races, as I say, for 11 seasons now. Showed a lot of promise as a junior when she took the under-23 in Raznov in Romania. That was freestyle over this same distance. So Victoria Carl is having an incredible season, and the most special day of her career, maybe of her whole life, to, if it stands, to take a win here. Further down, we're seeing Jessie Diggins. I think Jessie was down at 22 seconds deficit at 7.5 kilometers. This is Heidi Weng. I heard that Lotte Udnesveng had a fall, and that's why she was some 40 seconds behind at the first split.
Yeah, that would explain it, because she looks pretty good there. That's Lotte Udnesveng coming around the corner now. Still looks quite positive, attacking well and good tempo over the top there. But yeah, that's a lot of time behind. So I think that would explain that, because it doesn't quite match up with the way she's looking.
And of course that 40 seconds was in the first 2 kilometers, so that does explain. Didn't see it, can't think where it happened, and now it's Heidi Weng. So Heidi started strong. She was setting the early pace up to this point. First time around. You can see the slipping there. How frustrating is that when your skis are not gripping?
It'd be interesting to see if she's able to stay in the tracks as she goes up this hill here, or if she had to jump out like her teammate did. We didn't get a chance to see, obviously, but that makes so much difference.
I say Lotte Udnesveng comes in 16th, 17th, 18th position. Just looking at Jessie Diggins at 8.9. Jessie, here she is. She's moving up the ranking as she works her way along the track. Well, she was up into 3rd. She's dropped now again into 4th. Come on, you can just hear her gasping to get as much air in as she can. The 4th yesterday for Stadlober. At the moment 8th, but that will change. Jessie Diggins slipping madly.
Track. Oh, this is a real battle for these places. Anderson was in front of Diggins and Brennan at that 8.9k marker. we know Anderson dropped down.
Carl cannot watch. So Victoria Carl in almost disbelief in the champion's chair. She's just seeing all these great names. Ebba Anderson fading towards the end. Jessie Diggins came through, but now dropping back to 4th. Brennan might survive in 2nd. So Rebohm, the sprinter, but this season fabulous at distance racing. This looks like 6th or 7th maybe position. It is 7th position. Nearly a minute behind, but good points. She needs to keep the good points going. Oh, I'd love to see Victoria Carl again, just to see. Look at the different skis, so the carpet skis there.
Yeah, Victoria Carl's face is brilliant. I think it's just that realisation that she's possibly going to do it. There she is.
She cannot believe it. Yep, keep those fingers crossed, but I think you're safe. I think you're absolutely safe. 3rd last weekend was sensational. and to better it again this weekend. Here comes Jessie Diggins. We know full well that she's been slipping and sliding away up the hills, Posey. But the incredible double pulling power, she needs to punch up this hill. At the last point of checking, she was third or fourth position at 23 deficit, but only 1 second to make up on Brennan. She cannot believe it. And she put the statement out early. She went so hard up that first climb, 2 kilometers. Ila won't challenge. Stadlober tried and failed.
Yeah, we questioned whether Carl had gone too hard too early when we saw that first split. I thought 6 seconds over Anderson at 2K. What's she done? It's too much, but she's certainly shown that she had that intent all day and she stuck with it.
I'm so happy. Great to see a new, well, she's not new, 11 years on the tour, but great to see a new name on top of the podium. Victoria Karl from Zella-Mellis, not far from Oberhof in the former east of Germany. Heidi Weng started strong. So Heidi Weng outside the top 5. She's got some traffic though to push her way through, or will she slide across into another lane? She doesn't need to, so Heidi Weng, it will be a top 10 I think by the end of the day. 8th position for now.
Yeah, just keeping an eye out. I think that's Diggins that we're seeing here. She started just a minute behind Weng and here she comes.
So Rosie Brennan at 19.6. I think Brennan might just survive. Jessie Diggins desperately trying to depose her teammate. It's not going to happen. She needs to keep fighting for third. Oh, just outside. Anderson will get third and Jessie Diggins will have to accept fourth today. Oh, she didn't have grip. And guess what?
That means we have Victoria Karl.
We have a brand new winner, and that is so good to see. Well, Jessie Diggins, she put it all out there as always, and just didn't quite have the grip on the final climb in my opinion.